Call this meeting to order, and if you will, please stand. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you being here today, and I started to say tonight, but it's still this afternoon, still daylight, isn't it? But anyway, appreciate every one of you being here, and if you will, please bow your head, and I'll ask Reverend Buddy Fowler if he'll lead us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's bow our heads. Our Father, we come to you this afternoon with a humble heart. Father, we're most thankful for all the blessings you bring into our lives. Father, we have just gone through a tough election. We ask you to be with all of us. Let us understand and be compassionate. Father, we also ask that you continue to bless this town, bless this council and all the decisions they make. Lead us and guide us in the right way, Father. We ask you to continue to be with our military that's overseas and those at home and their families. Lift them up, protect them, and bring them home safely. Father, we ask all these things in your most precious name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Ask Councilman Don Helms if he'll lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And right now, at this time, I would like to ask our best-looking council person. Just stand up, come up here, please.
That's Teresa.
There you go, Teresa.
Nobody knew who that was, right? Anyway, Teresa keeps getting younger and younger and younger, so she has got a new, younger birthday.
Thank you.
Let's do it, yeah, man.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Teresa. Happy birthday to you.
And it just happened to work out, it is today.
It is today.
It is.
Yes. 49.
I remember when she turned, I don't even think, I remember before she turned 9, so. Oh, Lordy. Okay. We do have Small Business Saturday coming up, and we have a proclamation for it. This is a proclamation from the town of Surf City, whereas according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 30.2 million small businesses in the United States. They employ 47.5% of the employees, the U.S. private sector, and are responsible for about 66% of the new jobs created in this country from 2000 to 2017. Whereas the majority of the consumers say Small Business Saturday has had a positive impact in their community by encouraging people to shop small at local businesses on Small Business Saturday and all year long. Whereas advocacy groups and public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Whereas the town of Surf City supports its local independently owned retailers and restaurants to create jobs, boost the local economy, and preserve our communities. And now, therefore, I, Douglas C. Medlin, Mayor of the town of Surf City, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim November the 28th, 2020 as Small Business Saturday. And I urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants of Small Business Saturday throughout the country. This is the 4th day of November 2020, and it's been signed. Thank you, and I appreciate it. And I certainly do ask you to support small businesses, and I know we've got some other people here that saying the same thing. Right, Rocky? And right?
No.
Okay. You know, it's hard to believe that the little businesses give that many jobs to the United States. You know, everybody thinks about these big corporations and all, but majority of the jobs are in the small businesses. Just a lot of mom and pop businesses that are real small and have to work hard to make it. Isn't that right, Rocky?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we do have a special recognition. Most of you know where our Onslow, our current comes from, which is Jones Onslow, and it's Jones Onslow Membership Corporation, which means you as a customer, each one of you owns part of Jones Onslow. You're all members of it, and you own part of that company. And so them being a membership cooperation, it's like a community electrical company. And they do look after the community. If you've ever been around right after a storm, they are prepared. They are lined up waiting to give us service. As soon as we can turn them loose to get on the island, they are ready to work. And I know if you talk to anybody from any of the big cities or out in the country and all, usually our current is on a lot quicker than any of the other cities or people out in the country or anywhere have current back on. They work very hard to get their customer current back to them. But they also do a lot of other things too. They're active in a lot of areas of the community. I know they give scholarships to students. In fact, I think 2 of my children ended up with a scholarship from Jones Onslow Electric to go to college. So, I mean, they are very active in their community. So at this time, I'm gonna call James forward, and he can tell us a little bit. And I told James, I said, now this is a short talk. And James is gonna tell us a little bit about what Jones Onslow did for us. Yeah, that's fine.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I reached out to Mr. Moretti a couple weeks ago and trying to get some direction on getting a utility pole set for our AM radio station. This particular radio station is something that we utilize for the dissemination of critical or emergency information out to the community. It's a great low-tech, high-availability service that we can use it to get information to the community quickly. It doesn't require a whole lot of commercial backbone, say some of the other methods that we utilize. So I reached out to Mr. Moretti, and he's been absolutely nothing but helpful. He's lining up getting us a pole set up that we're going to affix our station and all the equipment on, so we'll be able to get that on the air and delivering information back out to the community. So thank you a lot, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Like I say, and this is all free, right?
Yes, sir. I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay,
We haven't talked money, so.
right. We won't pay him anyway, even if he charges us. But we do appreciate Jones Onslow for that. And like I say, I think this will be a big help to us if we do have another emergency time so that we can get communication out to the people. It's done through your radio, and it'll be a station number that he'll have assigned to him by the federal government, so you can just tune to that station and you'll be able to get the information from during hurricanes. And that is something that works even when our cell phones don't work. It will still work. So that'll be a way that he can get his information out to us. So we do appreciate James's work on that, and also appreciate Jones Onslow for the pole and tower that we're having to put the antenna on. So we appreciate that. Okay, beautification and appearance. Do we have anybody with the Maddox from 701 South Topsail Drive? South Shore Drive, excuse me. No, South Topsail Drive. Okay, I know we have somebody from 50 South, so if you would come up, I appreciate it.
Where would you like to go?
Yeah, you can stand right there, be fine. I was really looking forward to another one of you.
I know, the prettiest one.
The prettiest one, yes.
She is still, well, she might be through dealing with children. I'm not sure.
She teaches school, and I tell you what, she is a great teacher. She was teacher of the year before last, right?
Yes, sir.
And she did a fabulous job for our area, and she is a great teacher, and I know for sure about that. So anyway, I looked at that thing the other day. I said, he's already got it. And what I was thinking about, you know, when we had the last time for the beautification, we spent part of the time over at your place.
Oh,
So I said, no, that's right, he didn't get it. We were just over there looking. But he has got a nice shop, did a good job with it, and if you get a chance, go by and see it. 50 South, just down the street on Topsail Drive. And your name's right, name is 50 South, right?
Exactly.
You're still 50
Yeah,
South?
we're on 50 South.
And you're on 50 South.
Exactly.
Okay, anyway, Surf City, North Carolina proclamation. Whereas according to the United States, nope, I got the wrong one. Sorry about that.
We'll take the house.
Certificate of recognition.
Switch again.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, they're on South Topsail. But anyway, certificate of recognition to the business of the month. This certificate is awarded to 50 South Surf Shop. And he does have some fabulous clothes in there too, other than just surfboards,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So if you don't
Correct.
go on
You
a
don't surf.
surfboard, you can go by and buy clothes, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, by the town of Surf City Parks and Recreation, and this is awarded to you on the 4th day of November 2020, and it is signed and notarized and sealed and all that good stuff by Stephanie.
It's official.
Okay, it's official.
Thank you, sir.
So you can go hang that in your shop. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, at this time we'll come to adoption of the agenda, and if we have no other items being considered separate, a motion to adopt the agenda is in order.
I make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
I figured. A second? Anybody? Second, got a second, okay. Thank you, sir, appreciate that, Don. And so now we will go forward to our new business, and this is the Ward and Smith contract, and we will turn this over to Mr. Kyle Brewer, our town manager.
Real quick, I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, did I not do that? I'm sorry about that. You just want to beat Don out.
No, I've already done it. You just gotta ask for raise.
No, that was the agenda, so
Okay.
that's consent agenda.
Let her do it.
That's right. Let her do it.
I'll second.
You gonna get in there anyway, huh, Don?
It's all right.
Okay, it's been first and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. All right, motion carried. Now, new business is Warden Smith contract, and I'll ask Kyle Brewer to deliver that.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Mayor. Hate to break up the fun with talking about consulting contracts, but following up from our last workshop, we talked about legislative priorities for the town and how those can be split up between state and federal efforts. Some things that impact the town we can manage on a state level, state legislative level. Some things we need to go to the federal government for. So the town currently is under contract with Mr. Mike McIntyre with Warden Smith, and essentially we are under contract for an annual retainer, and he's available to the town for general consultation. However, it's a retainer, not it doesn't cover any additional items that we might send to him in an organized format that we have done as council to develop and look forward to see what challenges we have. So there are 7 items on a list that I sent to Mr. McIntyre, and if you can go to the next slide, Jason. These items are items for potential consideration, and what I'd like to do is kind of get feedback from council as to the weight of these items, because this will have a direct impact into any potential contract that we may want to pursue. So number 1 was pursue state funding to support non-federal support share, the Army Corps Mitigation Project. This is directly applied to the 50% cost share for the non-federal sponsor, so us in North Topsail Beach. It's extremely important to make sure that amount is set aside in the state budget, so there may be potential assistance to assure or try to assure that those funds get budgeted annually to meet the obligation that they have. The second thing was examine and pursue opportunities to help offset the costs of tourism-based projects, such as beach nourishment. This can come into multiple different areas, one being a taxing authorization, the second being additional line item sums or insertion of funds into state budget to help with, or other means of increasing monetary support for the beach project or sand projects. The third thing was obtaining permission to set times and expedite approvals for when system development fees can be charged by the town to developers to assist with the sewer rate structure. As we've all looked and analyzed, major capital investments rely on system development fees that come in with new development that funds those capital expenditures. Just recently in the last state legislative session, they reduced the town's ability to collect system development fees up front, and they are due when a building permit comes due, or when it's applied for. This causes issues with the town in trying to plan forward in additional capacity. If we were in a position where we were not trying to achieve additional capacity, this probably wouldn't be as much of an issue, but since we are in that, we are a growing community, this comes of utmost importance. Number 4 is allowing potential paid parking proceeds to be directed towards any public purpose and not just towards a beach nourishment the enforcement program of that. The 5th thing is seeking assistance to the North Carolina DOT to obtain funding to complete South Shore roadway efforts to combat flooding. And I'll go through an update with that. As we know, that's been causing issues with not only our residents, but our neighboring town to the south when we have heavy rains and that roadway essentially gets cut off. Recent DOT funding caps and issues with their cash flow has put a halt to this project that the town had already started on. So we'd like to see that move forward. Number 6 is assist the town with water and sewer infrastructure funding, including examination of a wide range of grant opportunities with assistance of a dedicated grants team, grants updates, review of grants profiles, and structure of grant opportunities. Essentially having somebody in our corner that is continuously looking for those opportunities and helping us apply and obtain grant funding to expand our systems. And then the last item was supporting flood control and coastal emergencies fund for beach renourishment funding post-storm. So as we move forward with Army Corps project, the FCCE fund is what is utilized to put sand back on the beach after a named storm. So it's important for us to make sure that that federal pot of money stays funded so that we are in line to receive that renourishment post-storm event that is named. I've broken these down through further examination and wanted to sort of give my insight to each one and then again collectively talk about where we think that we want to put our eggs in one of the baskets, in 2 of them, or the whole thing. The first situation that I looked at was, are some of these federal priorities or state priorities joint priorities that we can share with our neighboring towns? We all have a common interest in beach nourishment, in island protection, etc. So I put these into a category of potential Tispc legislative priorities because annually we can submit these. And the first one is again, pursuing state funding to support the non-federal sponsor share going into the state budget. Tispc enjoys a good relationship with the Division of Water Resources, who fosters or shepherds the funding into the state budget. So we might be able to, this is going to be a common interest with North Topsail Beach, so we might be able to push this to Tispc under their contract or under the joint agreement with them. The second item is examine and pursue opportunities to help offset the cost of tourism-based projects. As we've seen, again, and what we've talked about is there's an additional 1% on room occupancy tax that we could potentially explore. During our meeting with Mr. McIntyre, we talked about the challenges with room occupancy tax and getting that passed. So is there opportunity to look at offsetting a tax and just getting additional line item budgetary commitments on the state level, or just other means of increasing monetary support for the project? So that's kind of a cast net to look at any opportunities we can to help offset the burden of our taxpayers on that project. And then number 7, I kept the same number scheme as the initial slide, is supporting flood control and coastal emergencies fund, or the FCCE that I talked about. Again, North Topsail Beach will have this same interest as we move forward with the project. So that's the first sort of pot of suggestion or recommendation that I'd provide. We can move on to the next one until we cover each one of these. This one is potential priorities to capture in-house. This comes through a special legislation that is generally non-controversial. I've worked with the attorney to get language that Wrightsville Beach utilizes for this. So I do think, and not criticizing the efforts of Warden Smith. I think they're fantastic to work with. But I do think that this is something we can probably work with directly with our local legislators to move forward if the town makes that decision, to go with a paid parking solution for parking management. The next pot of that I think we can look at that I had alluded to, this item is already in progress, and when we talked about this, everything had been frozen. We were able to secure a very beneficial meeting, I think, with DOT just a couple of weeks ago. They have reinvigorated this project. So I've been in communication with WK Dixon, who is the engineering firm selected to do this, the study, come up with a design and execution. So right now there's some email correspondence. The town sort of served as a pass-through on this, where we took care of the upfront expenditure on a monthly basis, and then DOT was reimbursing the town. So this has already gotten kick-started again. So I don't think that we need to keep this on our legislative priority list unless something falls through the cracks. So I would say we can probably push this one off to the side. Not as it's not important, but there's already efforts underway. And then into the final one is the high priority items potentially needing assistance. This goes back to the system development fee issue that we have seen, as well as having a potential team of grant assistants that are continuously scouring opportunities for us to get additional funding. So therefore, as a reminder, on the enterprise side, this doesn't go directly onto ratepayers, and any funds that we can offset that through grant streams or other opportunities, I think that we can certainly pursue. So that's kind of how I've boiled this down to. I cannot guarantee our delegates on TISPC that we can get TISPC to adopt each and every one of these, but I think there's probably opportunity to go back to Warden Smith if we need additional assistance, or we can go with none of them and continue to work channels that we already do on a day-to-day basis to look for these items. But I wanted to bring it to council for potential consideration, and then I will go back and communicate with Mr. McIntyre and his colleagues as to what the town's potential desire would be. That would be through a negotiation process, and I would bring that contract back to council for your ultimate consideration of approval. So,
Right. Because I think what we've got some that are state, we got to handle through the state, and then some of them are federal. But most of the federal projects include North Topsail also, and some of Topsail Beach. So, that's why we're looking at going through the TISP to do those projects. Because we're paying for that also. So there's, it'd be sort of silly for us to, in my opinion, to individually pay for it and then pay for it again through the shoreline protection. So,
yeah, and shoreline protection is going through the process right now of soliciting for these ideas for legislative priorities and setting goals. So I do think we can probably work that channel, but these are still going to be top priorities for the town to continue to pursue. So we'll just need to make sure that we're pushing that as much as we can to get that adopted as a.
And the shoreline protection does have a state, what do we say we were going to call them?
Consultant.
Consultants, yeah. State consultants, and also a federal consultant. So,
yes. So they already work with Connie Wilson,
right,
who's done a good job, I think,
yeah,
with TISPC, and then Warden Smith. They just approved to move the contract from Pointer Spruill over to the new firm, Warden
right,
Smith.
they went to the new one. So I think that would probably be our best way. And then, now I still think that maybe we might need to, you know, if we get down to it, we might look for another consultant on that deals with just getting grants.
Yes, yeah.
In other words, there are companies that just deal with getting grants. And they know exactly how to write them, they know where they are and all that. So we may have to look at dealing with some of those. Okay?
So I open that up for discussion. If you have questions of me on any of these items or the strategy presented, I'll be more than happy to try to answer those for us. But I'll need a little bit of direction to go back to Mr. McIntyre, and I'll talk to him in the morning about
I
it.
don't have a problem with your priorities that you've got listed, but with the TPSI, Teresa, I think all three towns pay into that, and if we can get TPSI to adopt some of these ideas we've got and put it in to where we're already paying, then whatever's left over, let us look at that and make that a separate priority, a part of the same priority list, but a separate list. I think that would be good, because as the mayor said, we'll have times we need to reach out to a consultant to help us in doing some of these things. But I think we need to certainly utilize our funds that we're paying because all three towns are paying for this TPSI, and to get as much bang for our bucks as we can for that, and then pursue it on the other stuff.
There's no use of double paying.
No.
No, because basically all the state things that we're talking about here, all three towns are involved in it.
Yeah, well, the non-federal sponsor, that's gonna be, you know, the two, you know, us and North Topsail.
Right.
So Topsail Beach won't have a vested interest in
Won't in
that.
that.
And then, but, you know, I don't know the Topsail Beach's, position on, you know, revenue offsets for, you know, potential projects. So that's gonna be another one that.
I think they would probably have some interest in
Sure,
that too.
sure.
The project, the Surf City and North Topsail Beach project, that is still a Topsail Island
Absolutely.
shoreline protection goal.
Yeah.
So that is still,
Yeah.
you know, even though it's these two cities, it still benefits Topsail Beach as well with that. I think Mike McIntyre has been a very valuable consultant over the last, you know, how many years so have we
Yeah,
had?
long
So,
time.
Yeah.
his wisdom and his guidance that he has led, you know, us through the years has been, we've been very grateful and thankful for the way that he has guided us and pushed us to where we are today. And not saying that we need him to, you know, on all of these different, the way that you have broken them out, I think is, you know, is awesome. That way it's not, you know, we're not paying for everything. Even if it's on a case-by-case scenario with Mr. McIntyre, when we need it.
The
Well,
only,
it's just like, I mean, the Cobra Zone really doesn't affect us, but it's still a Topsail Island
Right.
project, so it's still being done through
It's something that
the Topsail Island
Shoreline
Shoreline Protection, so,
has promoted
you know.
for many years.
then I would, you know, I can already go ahead and say, you know, the South Shore issue, I think we've got that under control.
Yeah, I think our DOT rep is gonna handle that. I think
Sure.
he'll take care of that.
Number 4, just for that one, the capture in-house, again, you know, that's a special legislation that generally, most likely is gonna be non-controversial, especially if we, you know, say that it's going to a public purpose and not to grow government. Talking with our local legislators, we can point directly to a project that we know we're gonna need that assistance with. And it will be communicated, has been communicated in that manner. Then the one thing I would say about the high priority items, going to that last slide, is, you know, when the legislature convenes in January, a lot of the work is done a month or two in advance. So November, December timeframe, I think was stressed to us in this meeting that if they're gonna hit those legislators, potential new legislators or existing, that's gonna be the time that we're gonna need to do it. So if council wants me to pursue number 3 and 6, I certainly will, and I'd like to get this turned back around so that we can get them working if that's your desire.
I think we need to go ahead and pursue that, and maybe we'll know who the legislatures will be before too long.
Not sure, but nonetheless, I do appreciate the guidance, and I'll bring this back on the 20th, an amended contract with the guidance that you provided, and look forward to working with them if it's an agreeable terms on that.
Yeah. I guess it does look like maybe Tillis went back in and he did a lot of work for us on the beach nourishment cycle, so.
Yeah, it's been a busy day, so we haven't really been able to follow the news feed there
We'll stay on
what's happening, so.
Do we need a consensus on that?
Yes, consensus will be fine.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All in favor? All right. Okay, you're gonna move forward, right?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, you got anything else?
I've got a large report for you after public comment.
Okay, all right. Okay, have you got any online public comments?
Yes, we have one public comment this evening from Mr. Jack Solak.
Okay.
Good afternoon. This is Jack Solak at 2408 South Shore Drive, Surf City. I want to thank all of you for doing the diligent work on beach nourishment. I just have one question on that. Do you know when sand will be added to our beach? Also, I was happy to see that North Topsail Beach voted to support the joint federal beach nourishment project. However, at the time, they are not sure how they're going to finance it. For certain, they will raise taxes. Luckily, I have been told that Surf City will not require a tax increase. The other options that North Topsail Beach is considering is raising the vacation rental occupancy tax and charging for parking. I believe Surf City should also consider raising the vacation occupancy tax for the city portion. Charging for parking is long overdue. Why do we have the heavy traffic in the summer? It's because of the day trippers coming in because we have free parking. We hope that the parkers will buy a sandwich or a cup of coffee, but do they? Who knows for sure? I do know for sure that the renters do support the local business. If we do adopt charging for parking, we should also have a free pass for all the property owners within Surf City, because they pay taxes already and they deserve to have free parking. Next, we should look into also charging for the boat ramp. I don't know if that's possible or not, but please look into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anybody in the audience that would like to address the council? Nobody? You quiet, Chief? Okay, if not, Jack had some good points there, and I think we're already working on some of those points, so he was pretty right, but he did mention it, as far as I know, which he'll probably talk about later on, but North Topsail did say that they were going to sign the PPA, so that gets us back on track for the beach nourishment as it was going. And so anyway, all right, if
So
we
where does that put us on timeline-wise with this? I know we had some delay, but to get to his initial question, which was when do we expect sand to be put on
Yeah,
the beach?
I feel you may have some
What's
in
a
your.
rough estimate?
He's got some
November
stuff in his talk, so we'll just let
Okay.
him bring that up when he talks. All right, so,
Thanks.
let's see, now we're through with public, if nobody else has got anything to say, we'll end the public comment, and we'll go straight into, the manager's report.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Again, I got somewhat of a lengthy one, and of course, any of these, if you have questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to try to answer those. So, obviously, the Corps was in a standstill until a decision was made on the other non-federal partner, North Topsail Beach. I emailed them on the 2nd to ask for an update. Where does this put us? I still have not heard back, so it's 2 days later. Prior to even the deliberation and approval from North Topsail Beach, the Corps had indicated to us that it is still their goal and objective to have that project started prior to the next storm season. So for everything that I can report to you is that the communication from the Corps is that they anticipate having sand being placed on the beach before next hurricane season. Exactly when, I don't know. A contract has not been let for anybody to start that work. However, also in the background, as we've talked about, is we're working towards that phase 1 contract, which is going to be from Topsail Beach up to Ocean Air. They have also been working on extending the environmental permit window to get special approval so that they can push sand year-round. What this will do is, even if we start later than what we had anticipated, January or December, if they can get that permit and let a contract for a year-round sand placement, then ultimately the Corps and both non-federal partners are going to save money, because that contract will be a much more enticing one to a contractor. So in a roundabout fashion, it's been told to us before next season. However, I'm working to try and get where we at now, because that came on Saturday. It's now Wednesday. I hope that we get some clear, definitive timelines and project schedule moving forward. But until I can have that conversation, I won't know. So that's, indirectly to answer your question, Mr. Torres, that's where we're at with it. The property updates that are critical to the project, we've closed on one. One should be closing in the next 30 days. This had to do with the property owner had passed away right in the middle of us trying to close on it. So there was some will issues that they have to work on out on the family side. And then the last piece will have to go to court because we've got a non-response. We're currently continuing to work with legal counsel on the access locations and moving forward on condemnation process. And then another big win for us that came last week was that we do have an executed encroachment agreement for the south end parking along the right-of-way, which is critical for us to get our numbers and avoided us buying additional property for the project. So town staff will be able to work that project, making minor improvements. What we're obligated to do is put 6 inches of aggregate down along that right of way, as well as putting parking bumpers and signage to help guide future parking in that area. They still would like to see a alternative solution and something we can work on for long-term goals, but in the meantime, that's critical for us. So we're very pleased with that. Moving on, or actually, if there's any questions on beach nourishment, I can try to answer those, or if there's any notes, I can pass those along.
Kyle, let me just try to add this, and correct me if I'm wrong. because I'm going from my memory here, and sometimes that's not great. But the Corps indicated to us that they were going to try to get this project started as soon as they could when they got back and the contract got approved. They let the contract out and accepted the contract, which they indicated to us they were going to hopefully have it before next hurricane season, and that they would also ask for year-round dredging, which would, as you said, would make the contract more enticing. And that would also help us by we only being messed up in one tourist season rather than 2 tourist seasons. So I think what they were telling us was that they're going to move as fast as they possibly can to try to make this happen. And don't know that it'll happen in that time frame, but that's what they intend to try to do. And we're looking forward to that. And I'm glad that North Tops have signed the PPD as well, that they now can go ahead and start working on that contract, which will help get us started before next hurricane season.
Yeah, if anything, I can say working with the Corps is that they're certainly a motivated partner, and they want to see this, and has been consistent. They want to see this project just as badly as we do. So my thought is that there's probably some internal discussions going on and strategy right now, and then we'll hear from them. They typically don't just leave us hanging, so I can send them all up tomorrow.
Yeah, and the year-round project, they had already applied for that.
Yes.
A while back, so it's already been in the process.
Absolutely.
For a while, so they're looking at it to get through the process sometime this spring.
Yeah, a lot of parallel efforts going on, which is appreciated from their end, especially with some of the uncertainties that were going on.
And that saves millions and millions on mobility.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we get approved for the year-round project.
Right, and also they were talking about it would, in other words, see a lot of these during the off-season or during the summer season, a lot of these dredges are just sitting idle. And so naturally, if something's sitting idle, then you can get it a lot cheaper than you can right in the crux of time. Yeah. And they said they were talking about maybe having more dredges working, so therefore it would make the project go a lot faster too.
Yeah, and it is my goal to, once we get some of these definitive timelines and scopes put together, to be able to get that message out, because I know our citizens have been clamoring to know what the details are, and I would love to know what the details are. To be able to share those.
I would too.
We'll make a concerted effort once we get on track and we're moving forward to communicate that effectively.
I keep calling him every day, say, have you heard from him?
Yes, yeah. Moving on to the, Newtown Hall. So we were out there today to look at a few things. The standing seam metal roof is being put on. They started that today. Exterior glazing installation has begun. The hardy siding install is to be completed. The mock-up wall that's out there, it looks a little funny, but it's there for a purpose, is so we can look at features and how things work together. It has been completed. There's some things that we want to look at, especially as exterior corners and how we're going to miter those, or how that might look. That's out there. The rough-ins at the police station will continue. The overhead rough-ins at Town Hall and the police station will continue. The insulation going into the walls is going to start. They're going to complete the masonry and brick installation, so the knee wall around the entire building is almost complete, including the storage shed and the generator enclosure. They were doing the masonry on that when we were out there. They're going to continue the curb and gutter installation, continue ABC stone installation. The dumpster pad has already been completed. And then the underground propane tank will be installed in the next 2 weeks. So there's some of the major points.
What about your windows and doors?
Those are going in as we speak.
Okay.
Yep. The old town hall, this was exciting news, that we did receive word from FEMA that demolition can occur on that structure. So what we need to do is put together a RFP, or request for proposals, to seek bidders for the demolition services, and we will probably lump the old ward building into that contract. With the timing wise, I see them getting nervous back there, but that might be a more enticing contract as well, to get both projects.
In other words, we won't do it while they're in there working, right?
I guess. So we could do it on the weekend, I don't think. That might be an option, but nonetheless, I appreciate Dave and tracking down those responses, because it was all just word of mouth, I think, that we can't tear it down until a new town hall is built, etc. So we'll be very interested to see what some of those quotes come back in, but nonetheless, that's good news for that. I submitted or published a request for qualifications to solicit broker services on the PD property for the building and the land. Those are due back to myself on the 11th, so next week. Once I have those proposals, I will review them and bring a recommendation to council for a contract to award, so that we can again expand our marketing ability of that property, because we do need to get that moved. We're not in a desperate state by any means, but it'll be good to go ahead and get that project under our belt. Good news or bad news, tax bills, the Pender County side of Surf City went out yesterday, November 3rd. The Onslow portion went out today, so those are out the door. Big shout out and kudos to the finance staff and IT, Jason, for getting the barcode scan on the bill. So when those come in, they'll be able to scan that and automatically process. So it's an efficiency, something that they've been working on for quite some time. We already do it with our utility bills, so now our tax bills will come in, and that'll be a nice little feature that they'll be able to utilize. I had to deliver bad news a couple of meetings ago about not getting the Economic Development Administration grant. Looking at economic resiliency, post events, this has really come to light with the pandemic, and being able to pivot and not have a lull in our local economy. That's a big thing. So been in communication with the Keenan Flagler Institute at UNC Chapel Hill. That's their business school. And we might be able to get this project kind of moved over into the academic side, where they can do work for basically free. So I'm going to work with a couple of professors up there, and they're going to develop a scope on that project, hitting some of the key elements that we had talked about in the EDA grant, which include the marketing, branding, and retention strategies for visitor-reliant businesses that facilitate attraction of new visitors and recapture return visitors. Identify diversification strategies for the town to potentially recruit, support, and promote businesses that are more resilient to sudden changes in tourism. And then also, we felt that this would be another good strategy, is look at long-term policies and goals that we can then incorporate into the planning's long-range comprehensive plan. So what are some longer-term strategies that we can be looking at as a community to boost our economic resiliency in town? So hopefully we'll get that project moving forward. Even though we were denied the grant through EDA, we try to look for other opportunities to further that objective. So I will certainly keep you updated on that. Following up on our discussion on the townwide mobile application, so we're in the development stage of putting together that request for proposals to solicit qualified vendors to develop and manage a townwide mobile application. Once a vendor is identified and selected, I'll ask that we get some representation from council to help guide some policy decisions. It's going to be very critical as far as some of the elements of that, to have some buy-in from council, so that staff's not bringing anything that's offline. And we've talked about some of these things. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to getting that RFP out and looking at that. We really want something tailored to Surf City to help with some of our issues, communication, pushing out notifications to our citizens, pushing out notifications to our visitors. For those watching and in the audience, we've all talked about, we all pretty much rely on this to get our news, and you have the choice to opt in or opt out of however much information you want. And a strategy that I'd like to look at deploying is rolling out new features so that we're not just pushing something out and we don't fix bugs and it crashes, and then we lose the confidence and faith in everybody that uses it. You automatically go and delete that app from your phone because you want storage for something else. So that'll be critical, and with the information technology procurement process, we have to be very careful at looking at what we're trying to extract out of a potential vendor on that. We define that role. It's not a lowest bidder type of situation. It's something that somebody that can really meet the needs of Surf City. So look forward to working on that. We've been doing that every week. We've been meeting to talk about the project. The town ordinance updates. Staff has formed a review team to update the town ordinances. Systematically, all chapters will be reviewed and recommended changes will be tracked through the process. The goal is to have 2 chapters reviewed per month, and then we can bring these to council. As we've talked about bringing some things into the modern age of our ordinances and looking at things that we might not even have consideration of. So a fantastic structure that we already use with our special events committee that meets weekly with different facets of town government to look at that. We brought in Scott and Amy from the code enforcement and planning side. So we're going to try to do what we can to expedite that and get that in front of council, because I know that's been a long-standing priority for you. But we do want to be diligent with it and make sure we don't have unintended consequences with something that we can sometimes get. Parallel to that, HR has been working hard again, digging into that personnel handbook, making suggestions on edits to bring to council for consideration. Each section is being reviewed for relevancy and current workplace consistencies, so some in-house updates. Today we started, we had a intern shadow, Miss Mia Bella Weary, excuse me. She's a senior at Topsail High School, reached out to myself and said I'm interested in policy development and government, and she thinks this is what she wants to do. What I wanted to do in high school probably had nothing to do with what we're doing right now. So hats off to her. She's going to come in on Wednesdays and sort of just kind of shadow. I've got a project I'm going to have her work on and probably present to council. I think it's something that you might enjoy, looking forward to, and something that she can really create a legacy for herself in Surf City for youth engagement, civic engagement, and bringing additional opportunities for our high school students. So that started today. So next week, Chief Wilson and I and Chief Hobbs are going to sit down to kick off our scoping and planning process for the Ocean Rescue Strategic Plan. This is a 5-year or future year plan that we want to put together that will help guide future funding and resource needs to enhance the existing ocean rescue program. So that project will be public facing. We want input from our citizens on developing that. That's heightened awareness to that has been brought to the town over the last couple of years. We do a good job today. However, with increased populations and ever-changing conditions out there, I think we're at the need. So this will really help Chief Wilson, I think, bring things forward, and we have a purpose and a reason for implementing whatever the strategies might be with that. So just a quick reminder of our work session on the 20th. I think we have a fairly large agenda just outside of the finance side of it. But, you know, this is our mid-year budget review that we want to look at. So Mr. McCall has been reconciling all our accounts, and hopefully will get us in a good position to look at where we're at mid-budget year, and really put us in a position to roll directly into next fiscal year. So that's on the 20th. Coordination with the auditors for prior fiscal years underway. Finance is going to be working with them virtually beginning next Wednesday. So we'll get that process moving so we can get our audit taken care of. And then the last thing kind of on the finance side is we do have a anticipation of a Golden Leaf reimbursement at about $750,000 within the next couple of weeks to offset some of our expenditures on the new town hall project. So that's moving forward. And then one thing I did want to mention, that the comprehensive plan request for proposals did go out last week. That's being advertised so that we can get a consultant on board and start moving forward in that process. So lots of stuff going on, but a lot of positive things. I'm happy to report, and so let me know if you've got any questions on any of it, and I'll continue to update you on everything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, excellent report on the details and all the work and efforts that you put into that every month. I had a question. I didn't want to interrupt you though, because you're on a roll. As far as going back to the new town hall,
yeah.
Budget-wise, we're good with the budget there. There's been no increases, any issues?
No. So the things that we've had to look at, if something comes up, are dealt with through contingency. So there's a construction contingency, and we've actually added money to that contingency line item. But sometimes for example, we had to expedite delivery of door frames because it's a critical path element of the project. Right. So it makes sense timing-wise to put an additional $3,000 towards that, but it has not come out of the contract for that bottom line. So hopefully still by the end of the project, we will get money back from the general contractor on this project. And we hope it's upwards of $50,000 plus that we'll get back from our overall budget on the project. So.
Okay, thanks. And then the second part was schedule-wise. Are we still on schedule?
Yes, sir.
Ahead of schedule is what we said last time.
Absolutely. So, you know, a lot of the decisions that we make hinge on delivery, and it's been very important, communicated to the contractor, and they've been very faithful on this, that they want to maintain schedule and they want to try to be ahead of schedule. You know, when Matt comes in, he becomes very reluctant to say, oh, you know, we're 30 days ahead of schedule and all is good, because it's construction, we never know. However, we look at James behind you, I'm not looking over you, but we've gotten through a very critical time in this building to where we are dried in and we can work. And that's where we're starting to get electrical, plumbing, mechanical. All that work has been done and has been uninterrupted from special weather events that we sometimes get. So okay. It's very good on that side.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. It seemed like we had a lot of rain, but for some reason or another it didn't slow them up on their schedule with the town hall. And of course now they've got it dried in, so most of the work now will be out of the weather. You know? I mean, they still got paving and all to do, but most of the work is still out of the weather.
Getting the fill in and getting the site work completed was absolutely critical. We have had some areas that we've had to go back and redo some of the fill work because of the compaction. So we've had like an increase in special inspections. You know, because we have somebody on our side that works for us that goes and makes sure those things are taken care of. But it's been nominal in regards to overall scope. So we're thrilled with our partners, and
they have been great to work with.
Yeah. The only struggle I have is picking out colors and things like that. Yeah. So I try, if there's critical decisions to be made, I delegate those. Yeah. And, you know, we get to pick out bathroom stall colors here coming up. So,
but anyway, I think it's gone well. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Manager?
I can go on all night, but that's what I have for you this evening. So.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, we are now to our council forum, and I'm going to start on this side today. And
Thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Torres.
Colleagues and everyone who's attended the meeting, both online and in person. Buddy touched on it earlier today. I think it was during his prayer. There's a lot of anxiety out there today. And I think it isn't going to be over in the next day or two, more than likely. But I would just ask that, you know, regardless of what side you're on, what's important is that we do what we do, like we've done in this body, is to work together and to move our residents forward. So I hope that our leaders at the federal level, regardless of which side, is able to kind of do that. You know, we need to unite. So Amen. I'm going to do what I can to continue to be kind and empathetic, regardless of who wins. And I would ask people to maybe find some time, read a good book, exercise, do something to get your mind off of it, because we're all old enough to have seen many of these elections come and go. So it'll quiet down over time. And I look forward to just that. I don't want to receive any more texts from campaign ads. I don't know how they get the number, but it's been pretty crazy. So I thank you for your leadership and your time, and all the department heads. I always think about you guys, not just Kyle, but the hard work that you guys do day in and day out, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty, Mr. Fowler.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start off thanking Mr. Sloan Thigpen for agreeing to serve on our adjustment board. I think he's here tonight. We went ahead and approved you on the consent agenda, Mr. Thigpen. Appreciate all the citizens stepping up and wanting to serve on the board. I echoed what Dwight has said about the election, as I said in my prayer too. We need to get back and let business continue on. Hopefully that we can get some bipartisanship working in our country. That's what we need, and get away from this party symbol so strong. We've always had a good country, and it was due to bipartisan, and we got to get back to that. And on that note, this council, I want to thank them for their involvement, their leadership, and their constant helping shape the destiny of our town, along with the mayor's leadership and bringing us all together and keeping us moving in the same direction. I think we do have the best interest of our citizens at heart, and we try to show that and make the best decisions. That's not to say that some of you are not going to disagree with our decisions. You sure will, and that's entirely your right, but we'll be glad to discuss it at any time. I always try to make my decisions based on the facts and data, and I think all of us in here do that. With that being said, we have had a beautiful day today, had a beautiful day on election day, and we're going to have a beautiful day tomorrow, so let's all pull together, be patient, be consistent, and do our best. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now to our birthday girl.
Yes.
I'll just say to Kyle and his manager's report that he sends out every week. I know it comes from all the department heads, but I love to get that. I think our citizens love to get it. Thank you for keeping us informed.
That it?
My sentiments also what the other two councilmen said about the election. Remind everybody Christmas tree lighting, and I hope everyone had a wonderful summer season. And I want to personally thank every employee that we got for the job they do and the effort they put forth day and night. And I want to thank Kyle personally for everything he's doing there. We're not slowing up, even though a lot of places are. We're not slowing up, and we don't need to slow up. And I'm just looking forward to getting into the new town hall.
I am too. Think everybody is. Okay, Mr. Jeremy Sugar.
I don't really have a a lot to say all the time, but I got a couple things today.
Okay, go right ahead.
I want to say happy 40th birthday to Councilwoman Vance.
Yeah.
For sure. As a liaison to the beautification committee, I just want to say thank you to them for doing the landscaping on 23 and 25 fire departments. I think we need to, they did a great job on that. I know Chad and some of the city staff and some of that committee did that, and that was super fantastic.
They are looking good.
They look fantastic.
Yeah.
So just want to say that. I know that we're going to be having a discussion. Chad and the chairman, Jim Conway, had discussed about maybe adding a member or so to their committee where they have a lot of projects they want to do. So I think that the council is going to be discussing that at the work session coming up. Talking with the mayor, I'm the liaison to the chamber also, and it was the first time I was able to attend one since COVID last week. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little tough with them at that meeting. There's, you know, the sentiment of business owners want to know what the hell do I get for being a chamber member. You hear that all the time. So we talked about that. They took it well, you know, and since then we've, you know, because we give taxpayer dollars to that, and us as a council wants to know what's the benefit for the city. And so we've had 3 separate meetings. Chad helped orchestrate those meetings. The mayor, some key staff with Chad, Tammy Proctor from City Tourism, Pender County Tourism. Kyle was also there, and Chamber President Allison, and we've spent quite a bit of time working on figuring out gainfully how to identify the roles. You know, so the chamber doesn't think somebody does this, the city doesn't think somebody does this, and so between promoting businesses to special events and tourism, it was a really good conversation between the 3 of those entities, and we're moving forward in doing that. And I really, I know Chad, you've been super instrumental in making that happen, and with Doug's kind of guidance, and that since he's been around a while. So I just want to say that we are moving forward there, and I'm hoping to see some results from that as I report back to the council on that. Also, Lowe's Hardware came out here. They did the pergola out here. They did the landscaping at the beach access. And we happened to be able to take some pictures today after the meeting with them, and that was really great for them to be out there and do that. So if you see anybody from there, that's great. And I just want to say, last thing I want to say is I think elections, they can be nasty. And from a personal experience, ours wasn't the greatest last year, but I look 1 year in the future, how not only have we grown, but how strong we are as a council. It's really incredible. And to see the leadership, Doug, and I'm not just saying to say this, I would not want to do what you did. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I just want to say, we got a great council. It's amazing. And I just want to say, I mean that heartfelt, and I would hope that our own country could learn from this small city on how to get along and how to work together and figure out, and we genuinely enjoy working together, all of us. It's a great time. I've learned with the people that have experience on this council, the older people, like Don here. Okay.
Watch your mouth.
I've learned that the wisdom that they have is critical in this city, and they embrace the young excitement that we bring. But their wisdom they have is just unbelievable. So I just want to say thank you to them, and I hope, like I said, that maybe we should just tell Washington to take a look at us and see how we do things here a little bit. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I usually don't talk this much. I just want to say it. So
That's all right.
well, thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Well, while we're on politics, we have discovered one thing. If you want to figure out how sorry you are and all the things that you have ever done in your life that is wrong, just get involved in politics, right?
Amen to that. For sure.
Have you seen a politician yet up there that hadn't always been the sorriest thing you've ever seen? You know what I mean?
Gosh.
I don't know why any of them's up there, because they're all sorry according to everybody else's ads on them, you know. But
For sure.
yeah, and I feel like it's probably going to be a little while before we going to get all this stuff straightened out and all the everything. But you know, when we do get straightened out, like he said, it doesn't matter who's there or who goes in there. I mean, I hope we can all come together and you know, just become one country. That's what I've always, you know, you look at all these other countries and all the wars and the riots that they have because of their politics. I just didn't think it was possible in our country. You know, I thought we were more civilized than that. So I'm hoping that's what we are. I hope we're more civilized. I hope that we can calm down. I mean, it's not bad to get all upset and all excited and all about politics and all that stuff. In fact, I love a little political discussion and have two different sides going. But when it's over with, everybody's the same way. Everybody's the same kind of person. And everybody really wants the same thing. So that's what we've got to decide, is just to come together and work together. And like Jeremy said, I mean, sometimes I think it makes us stronger.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and you don't want one way. You got to have several ways and bring all those ways together, and then you come out with the best way of doing something. You know, one person's way is not always right. Then you've got a monarchy. And that's not what we want. We want several people's ways and bring them all together and then come out with the best idea. Because your idea is not always best. The other person's idea is not always best, but you come out with the best idea. And I think we're pretty good at that. Jeremy was talking about it, the tourism, and I think that meeting we had today was great. I think Chad's got a fantastic crew working, and I think with our events and our marketing that we have with Surf City and the tourism with Surf City, I think that we have come a long way and looks like we're going to be able to go a long way. And I think we're going to have a fantastic way of getting the information out. I think people just love it when we come into Surf City. And, you know, I mean, it's like, I think it was Audrey said today, you know, people coming in here, they said they feel like they're coming to their home when they come back to Surf City. And that's the way we want them to feel. Is like they're coming, this is like their second home, is what we want to make it like. So that's what we're working toward. I got to hand it to Kyle. He has done a fantastic job. He came in working hard to start with and has not slowed down a bit. I know he gets tired of me calling him all the time and saying, have you heard this, or have you got on this, or what? But he does a great job. And even sometimes spends his Saturdays with, I guess, the youngin' in his arms still doing stuff. Yeah. But anyway, we do. And I think we got a little help from our attorney this past week. I appreciate that. I think it's going to make our...
I don't vote, Mayor.
I know you don't vote,
But you did a wonderful job.
I think you did a good job, or you know, you help with a lot of understanding, and I appreciate that. So I think that made it a lot easier for them to make their decision and help them get through that. So I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, my report, I'll say something in my report about that.
Okay, and so with that, I'll shut my mouth and I'll turn it over to our attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 quick items. The first, we've discussed it somewhat already tonight. On Saturday, the Board of Aldermen for North Topsail Beach held a special meeting. At the conclusion of that meeting, a motion was made to instruct their town attorney to inform the Corps that they are going forward with the federal project and will sign the PPA. That motion carried by a unanimous vote. That was communicated to the Corps on Monday morning. I want to thank Justin McCorkle. You thanked me, but I think Justin McCorkle at the Corps of Engineers, he's the district lawyer, district counsel, spent a good deal of time with me on the phone I called Tuesday or Wednesday. What day were we here? I called him when I left here. Tuesday.
Yeah.
At least an hour, and was very patient and provided some clarification on some items that were of concern for North Topsail. I think that went a long way, so I want to publicly thank him for his time. Secondly, and I don't want to be political about this because I don't think that judiciary should be political, but so I'm a quote from the NC Policy Watch. The GOP candidates swept the North Carolina Supreme Court and North Carolina Court of Appeals races. There are 3 new Republican justices. Well, Justice Newby was already there, but all 3 of the GOP candidates won the Supreme Court race, and all 5 of the Court of Appeals GOP candidates won that. So I anticipate the both courts may migrate a little more conservative in their rulings. You would hope that it's apolitical, but it's my job to report on legal issues.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be political.
That's what I'm saying, apolitical. No, not. Since I'm the town attorney, I just wanted to bring that to your attention if you didn't already look at any of those races.
Yeah, I did.
So, and lastly,
The only weird thing was the Howland got changed to Democrat, didn't you?
no, sir.
Wasn't it,
Justice Newby appears to have won on the North Carolina Supreme Court. Justice Newby was running against Justice Beasley for the Chief Justice seat.
Right.
They were already on the court, but Justice Beasley was the...
I think you said the House. You said the House? Is that what you said?
No, Newby didn't win, right?
No, Newby did win.
He did win? Oh, I thought he did.
It was a razor-thin margin, and I don't know if it's actually finalized, but as of 2 or 3 hours ago, they were pretty much calling that. So,
All right.
again, you would hope that the justices, and my experience has been they don't see a whole lot of politics in courts, but if you haven't been following those races, I thought I'd share that with you. And lastly, I want to thank Stephanie. She's been cracking the whip on me on these, and Cal, on these beach accesses and condemnation actions we're going to have to file. Just today, I stumbled across a case from the North Carolina Court of Appeals that was handed down in 2011 that I think is going to obviate our need to file at least 4 lawsuits for certain beach accesses. I think given the way these are depicted on a plat, we may be able to just accept that as a public dedication, and we won't have to file those condemnation suits, save us certainly time and money. So,
right.
Unless there's any questions, that's all I had, and I'm glad to see this country getting ripped apart after yesterday too.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions for the attorney? Well, you lucked out on that. Okay, does anybody else have anything good for the council? If not, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Buddy, you gonna second?
I did.
You did, okay. All in favor, raise your hand. We are now adjourned.
Hey,